Hi, I'm Charlie Wooton, and you're watching for BassPlayersOnly.com.
Hi everyone, John Liebman here. You're watching for BassPlayersOnly.com. Today we are here with a bass player, a very good bass player, Charlie Wooton. How you doing, Charlie?
I'm doing fantastic. How you doing?
Doing great. It's good. We've communicated quite a bit over the years, email, and you've sent us some videos which we posted, and we've always enjoyed what you've done, and I'm glad we have this opportunity to catch up and find out firsthand what your story is. And I know it's an interesting story. You're from the South, right?
From Lafayette, Louisiana, born and raised.
All right. Well, tell me about your musical upbringing. Do you come from a musical family outside of your brothers, Victor and Reggie?
I do have a very musical family. Like Victor, I got 4 older brothers that all played. The oldest played guitar and piano. My brother John is head of percussion at University of Southern Mississippi. He's, if you go on the Vic Firth website, he's the main rudiment guy. And my other 2 brothers played sax and trumpet and whatnot. I started playing all the instruments. I started playing drums like my brother John, but he tied my right hand to my leg and made me play only with my left hand because it was weak. And in the 5th grade, that's not fun. So I switched to trumpet like my brother Mike, and I just kind of went around on the instruments that were in the house. And then the year before high school, my foster brother, Jude, left a bass at my house. And the only thing I knew about bass was none of my other brothers played it. And when I plugged it in and just hit an open E, it was I was home. It was it. It took over. The trumpet ended up in the case, and I just started playing bass and fell in love.
I would guess that would probably have made you take more notice of bass players and bass on records and songs. And who were some of your early influences on bass once you discovered there was such a thing as a bass player and an instrument such as the bass?
Well, right at the time, when I was 15, I believe Jaco passed away when I was 15. Well, and just before that...
Boy, are you young.
My brother handed me a weather report record, heavy weather, and pointed to Jaco and said, if you're going to play bass, you got to listen to this guy. It took me about a year to pull it back out, because the first time I put it on at 14, it didn't make too much sense. But then once it did, it took over me. And, you know, Jaco passing at that time, all the articles and everything came out on him, so I kind of got, I was very fascinated, you know, and to read about him and just discover all of that at once. Because it was already all done. So I just started collecting Weather Report, Joni Mitchell, all of it. And then, you know, after that, of course, Stan Lee was an influence, and Kim Stone, who played with Spyro Gyra and the Rippingtons. And the blue bass that I own now, Kim gave me. And the interesting story about that was Spyro Gyra would come to Lafayette. I was too young to go to the show. And my brothers would go and come home and tell me about this incredible solo that Kim played, Bob Goes to the Store. You know, Bob's a dog that goes to the store. And they got his autograph for me. I moved to Los Angeles when I was 20, and I met him. And long story short, he wouldn't give me lessons, but I could come to his house and jam, which was a lesson. And he wouldn't let me pay. And back then, if you didn't have a 5-string in Los Angeles, my first audition was for Diana Ross. I walked in with a 4-string, and they said, well, you might as well not even audition if you don't have a 5-string. Because it was, and Kim had one, he gave me the bass, and that's the bass that he played on Spyro Gyra records that I listened to when I was a kid.
Wow. Yeah, Kim has always been a real crowd pleaser in concerts. And boy, I remember that era, and I was as guilty as anyone when I first got my 5-string. Even if I was playing a wedding or something, I was always way down. How about your career then? How did your career get rolling once you discovered the bass and Jaco and the other story, you know, Kim Stone and jamming? How did you transition from that into an actual career, playing bass and playing music, making money, and making a life out of it?
Wow. No, that's, how can I say, maybe a few different levels. Let me try to get through them quick. In high school, it was beautiful. I had a great high school career, let's say. The music program in high school was unbelievable. And I was playing professionally since I was 15. My brother and I had a band, David, the sax player. And, you know, I started gigging then and never stopped. I was always a bass player for a long time, you know. I just thought if I practiced my bass and learned it the best I could, things would happen. Well, I'm 12 years sober, so at 33 years old, I was working a lot. I got sober at 33, and I was working a lot, and I met my beautiful wife, Tracy, and she asked me about the music business, and I didn't have an answer for her. I had 10 gigs that week, but I didn't have an answer of the music business, and she slowly helped me learn about this music business, and that's when my career took off. That's when you discovered my YouTube stuff, and you and I started building a relationship. So, you know, and I love educating and teaching. So if you can get anything out of this interview, if you're young, start learning the music business, because you're going to play your bass. And really, that's where the career starts to take off. You know,
give us some highlights of your career. What are the things that you've done that are especially notable or stand out, or that you're most proud of?
Most proud of? Well, it'd be the most recent stuff. I play in a band with Cyril Neville now, the Royal Southern Brotherhood. Last year, he got a Lifetime Music Achievement Award, and I got to music direct the whole segment. So I got to go through his whole life and get all the Nevilles together and put this show together. That was a total highlight. You know, other highlights are playing with my heroes, such as Cyril and meeting Kim. You know, I ran my own band for 15 years when I lived in Atlanta. And the highlights of that was just being a successful, you know, band leader. You know, I didn't go out searching other work like I do now. So, you know, I can remember doing things like, you know, playing small clubs or whatnot, and then visualizing playing big festivals. And I remember the first festival I played in South Carolina, there's 8,000 people. And that day I was like, okay, I'm doing what I visualized. So what's the next vision? And really, for me, the highlights of my career are just, you know, staying afloat, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes total sense. Tell me a little more about your equipment. What are you playing these days?
I got Harkey gear. I met Larry Harkey last year, and he's been very kind to me. DR strings and Mad Professor pedals is what I use for my effects. They're a place out of Finland. And what I love about the Mad Professor pedals is that it doesn't change your tone. When you have nothing on, everything tones the same. And when you use the effects, I still have the tone of my bass that's affected rather than an effect. To me, most effects sound like an effect. You know what I mean? You're just hearing a lot of chorus. You know what I mean? And their pedals are so subtle. I like it. I have a spring reverb that I use for every time I solo. It's just this beautiful sound. And my Harkey gear is amazing. When I plug into the Harkey, it sounds like my bass. You know, I plug into other amps and it changes the tone. I have to adjust to find my tone.
It's still that same bass that Kim gave you, the blue one that you're talking about?
Yeah, I've been playing that for 20-something years.
And what kind of bass is that?
It's a Warmoth body, and when Kim had it, the neck was messed up. He said it had an air pocket in the neck, and the neck blew up. It was a 4-string. He got it remade into a 5 at the bass shop in New York. So it's the spacing's really close. It's really easy to play. The action is really low. Most bass players don't like my bass because it's too easy to play, and I love it because I don't have to work really hard.
How about the future, Charlie? What else would you like to do that you haven't already accomplished? Do you have a someday I'm gonna?
Oh yes. Right now like I said, I'm playing Royal Southern Brotherhood right now, and that is a dream come true.
Give me that name again slowly.
Royal Southern Brotherhood.
Wanted to make sure they got it.
Yeah, and you know, I'm standing next to Cyril Neville, and you know, growing up in Louisiana, you know, and the Neville brothers, they were mystical. It was almost like it wasn't even real. You know what I mean? In my mind. So that's great. And so for the future, to continue doing this for as long as Cyril is able to, and right now I'm working on a project called Zabadoodat, which is me and Rafael Pereira's project. Rafael is the percussionist with Janelle Monáe. He is from São Paulo, Brazil. My love of music is ethnic music. Growing up in Lafayette, I played Zydeco music. Going to New Orleans, you play second line. I grew up in an educational system, so it was the complete opposite. You know, like high school and learning and whatnot. But the thing with ethnic music, it's food, it's the language, it's the way people dance, it's the culture that creates it. And Zabadoodat is...
Play any bar mitzvahs?
I've played them all. But, you know, we're going to pull stuff from Louisiana, stuff from Brazil, stuff from South Africa, because our lead singer, Laura Reed, is from there. And all these aspects of music that we love, put it together. The band is genreless, and Zabadoodat, the word just means the teachings of Jesus and Gandhi and Buddha, Bob Marley, and Victor Wooten, who I think is a guru. The thing that they're teaching us, I believe, is the same thing. And I believe us as humans and language get in the way. Well, Zabadoodat is just that pure thing. And we want to spread that message through music and love and whatnot. And that is my main goal. That's what I'm working on right now. Raphael and I are going to put a Zabaduo CD out next year, or this year actually. And it's just going to be bass, and he's going to play a pandera, which is like a tambourine with a skin, for those of you who don't know.
Wasn't that in the YouTube video that you sent us?
Exactly. There is a YouTube, yeah, from a while back. I don't look like this in the video, so it is me. So you can check that out on YouTube. Yeah, we're going to do a whole CD of that, and we're really excited about it.
Great, you should be. Last question, Charlie. What would you be if you weren't a bass player? Something outside of music.
I got two things for you. My other love was baseball. I was center fielder, and the only reason I didn't continue playing is because my music scholarship didn't allow me to play baseball.
Scholarship to?
A small school in Lafayette. I was going to go to Loyola the year after that, but I decided to go on the road. Well, I had scholarships for both, and they wouldn't allow me to do both. And the other thing was, being a musician, you do a lot of jobs if you need to. And I climbed trees for a while with chainsaws and ropes and everything. And we specialize in dead trees over houses, so I was okay with cutting trees down. And it was the most amazing job I ever had, as far as anything outside of, it's very creative. You think it's not, but it is. And so
I ask just about everybody that question. I get a lot of interesting responses, and nobody has ever given me that one. So I like.
One more quick thing on that. The reason I can show you. I was 80 feet in the air when I...
Hold your hand up there.
80 feet in the air when that happened with a chainsaw, and when I went back to work, I tried to get back up in the tree, and my hand was shaking so bad I couldn't, and that was the day I quit. So...
Well, good. That probably didn't hurt your music and bass playing career by quitting that other job, too. Well, Charlie, great seeing you, great catching up with you. And keep doing what you're doing and keep us posted, and we'll talk about it, and we'll let them know about it, too.
Well, thank you.
I'm John Liebman. You're watching for BassPlayersOnly.com.
On the bass guitar, Mr. Charlie Wooton, y'all.